2. Welcome back at WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. We're doing some Baltimore positive around here. All of our community and charity stuff that we bring to you is brought to me by Bill Cole and Cole Roofing, who a couple of years ago said, you ought to have people like Lisa Weiderlight on because she's doing this Fashion Rocks Autism thing the second year, and we had her last year. We're going to talk about autism right now. We're going to talk about a big event coming to the Hunt Valley area on November the 8th. We welcome Lisa Weiderlight back in. Fashion Rocks Autism, but the website is safeminds.org. Lisa, good to have you back in here. I remember a passionate, long conversation with you last year about children with autism and how the world has changed. And I saw a young lady on the spectrum this week from Sweden trying to change the world as well. So good to have you aboard. And another year with rock and roll and fashion and a whole bunch of friends of mine gathering for a great cause, huh?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, this is our second year talking, and it's actually the 5th year of this big event that we've got going on, and each year it gets better and better.
Well, let's go to better this year. I know you've moved it. Let's get location and all this. We've done a lot of stories about autism around here over the course of years, but I love when this thing gets put into action, and someone like you puts together this sort of an event that brings people together for fun. This is meant to be a night of rock and roll and fashion and good times for a great cause, and there's always an educational element of these things.
You are correct. Yeah. This year it's going to be at the Delta Hotels by Marriott, Baltimore Hunt Valley, which is, I guess, what they used to call the old Hunt Valley Inn.
I had my high school prom there back in 1980. But yeah, my prom was there. So, yes, I know all about it.
Good. It is Friday, November 8th from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m.
All right. So events, all of this, autism, and I've been hearing more and more about it in the news, and I brought up Greta Thunberg, who's one of my heroes in trying to save the planet and climate change, but autism was something when I was in my 20s, didn't hear a whole lot about it. Rain Man came out, we saw that, and in the last 20 years, I can't think of very few people in my life, much like cancer, who don't know someone somewhere, somehow, down the street, down the hallway, in the neighborhood, in the family, where autism has affected them. And obviously here in Baltimore, where so much is done through Kennedy Krieger and so many other people like you, it is sort of top of mind, and that's a good thing, because I think we're still learning a lot about it, and I know you're trying to put together research to learn more about it.
Yeah, actually, in Maryland, autism is 1 in 50, which of the 11 sites that the Centers for Disease Control looks at is number 2 in the country, only beside the state of New Jersey, which is 1 in 41. So it is prevalent here in Maryland, and unfortunately, as you said, it's been a huge increase. In the year 2000, autism was 1 in 150, and now it's 1 in 59 nationally. And we know it's a huge problem, and what's happened is as a result of only having research to the legislation that we have right now, we have huge waiting lists for services that are potentially life-saving, like good medical services, as well as housing and employment, lots of unemployment with people with autism. And most people with autism live with their parents until their parents are well into their 60s. And let's face it, I love my parents, but I don't want to live with them until they're in their 60s, and nor should someone who has a disability have to, because there isn't affordable and appropriate housing for them.
Yeah, so many times we think about, I've had many friends afflicted with all sorts of things over my 30 years on radio, and then my wife was diagnosed with leukemia, and people came to me as the caregiver. I never really thought about caregivers, right, until I became one of them. And I did think about caregivers. My friend Frank Vanek spent most of his life in a chair and multiple sclerosis and parents that were aging and moving him around in a really big chair. And I thought to myself, boy, the education part for the caregiver when you have a child with autism, because those parents and grandparents and neighbors and family members and siblings, they know as much about autism as I knew about leukemia the day my wife got it, which was nothing. And then the educational process begins for everyone around about how to manage it, right? Literally, right? And I know you have a personal story. I want to give you a chance to, how did you get involved with all of this and 5 years deep with safeminds.org and Fashion Rocks Autism?
Thank you. Yeah, I actually have a son who was diagnosed with autism when he was 33 months, which back then was early because he's 19. And,
so back then is beginning of the century. Back then is when the Ravens were winning the first Super Bowl, kind of, sort of, right?
that's when my son was born that year, actually, yes. It was a good year. And in 2003, my son was diagnosed at Kennedy Krieger. And in 2015, he was diagnosed with epilepsy. And this is what happens with our kids, a lot of them. They have autism and, is what we call it. Most people with autism have at least one, if not more, co-occurring medical conditions, whether it's seizures or gastrointestinal issues or wandering behaviors like people with Alzheimer's, or even mental illness, depression and anxiety are rampant in our community. And there's just no services and no treatments. And that's really what we're trying to change.
Safe Minds' 5th annual Fashion Rocks Autism is a night where I might be getting the party boots out that night. November the 8th, it's 7 to 11. It's up at the Delta Hotel in Marriott, Hunt Valley. I know you know where it is if you're listening to me right now. It's $1.25 for a VIP ticket, $25 general admission. Give me a little thought on the pricing and sort of, hey, anybody can come to this, because a lot of these events, they are $125, and it is a night out, and, all respect to anyone on their budgets and whatnot, but I think you wanted to make this open for more folks to stop out, right?
You're exactly right. I mean, especially for the autism community, it's very, very expensive. People with autism have a lot of therapies and treatments and special diets, and we didn't want to cut anyone out who wanted to have fun and get out and actually have a good night and celebrate life. So, VIP tickets, again, $125, that's open bar and all the food you can probably eat. And then the show and silent auction, live auction, and the last hour is a Party Rock Power Hour with the band That's What She Said, which is a local Baltimore-based band led by an autism mother who's really, really cool. And then again,
That's What She Said is the band. Okay, all right. I'm going to be. That's. I know there are a lot of bands I haven't heard of and I need to hear of, so that's where I'm going right now.
Oh, they're awesome. They play hits from the 80s, 90s, and further up.
All of my favorites.
And this year, actually, is the first year we added a dance floor. There's a lot of different things for the show now this year. They really push it up a bit. But we added a dance floor because I have yet to see That's What She Said play and people not just start dancing out of the chairs. So we'll have a dance floor also during the fashion show, rock concert, but afterwards as well. And then the $25 ticket is cash bar. But again, it's 7 to 11, and then they get the shows and the auctions and a power hour on the rock and roll and the fashion. And
you get to be a part of it, and you're contributing, right? Why not?
Exactly. We wanted everybody to afford to go because it's something that everybody should know about, and we do talk a little bit about autism, but we do have a lot of fun.
Lots of sponsors supporting this all over the area as well. The night is November the 8th. It's Friday night. Hopefully the Ravens are already clinched the AFC. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself there for that. Fashion Rocks Autism. I want to talk to you about where we are with the government. And obviously we're involved in this impeachment now. We're going to be where we're going to be with all that. What is the federal government, state government, local government? I'm involved in Baltimore Positive. We got Kennedy Krieger here. Give me some good news about some progress in some way on autism for people like you with children like yours and the next round of people like you who are going to wake up with a child with autism and say, where are we going with this?
I could probably give you good news about the next round of children with autism because we've been doing a lot of research actually for the past, since 2006 when a bill called the Autism CARES Act came out, and it is primarily a research bill. And so there are different programs, mainly from the Department of Health and Human Services, who are involved. But the problem for parents like me who have people with autism in their family right now is that as a result of primarily being research funded by the federal government, there isn't a lot of service provision or coordination of policies and programs and priorities like there is for HIV/AIDS and like there is for the drug problem. And, there's no person in the federal government who's responsible to make sure that all the agencies, whether it's labor for unemployment or whether it's public safety and the Department of Justice, those agencies are not being coordinated in the federal government. So Safe Minds is actually working with other organizations to promote something called the Autism Era Act this year, which is effectiveness, responsiveness, and accountability. And what we basically want are three things: a full-time federal autism coordinator in the executive office of the president, like we have for other diseases and issues. We want a small office with detailees from all these different organizations, maybe 10 people, and they're already federal employees. And then we also want a national autism strategy with measurable goals and objectives and outcomes, so we know what we're spending our money on and what we're getting for our dollars.
Well, you got a hell of a website here, safeminds.org. Go up to it. You can learn resolving the autism crisis, learn more, donate, advocacy. All of this is up here. Tons and tons of research and education and science, outreach, the whole thing. You could also donate there as well, but we'd love for you to donate on the night of November the 8th out at the Delta Hotel in Hunt Valley. Fashion Rock Rocks Autism. That's what she said is the band. Lots of cool items to auction off, dance the night away. I understand the drinks will be wet. The food will be delicious. Some of my pals are going to be out there as well. Brent Harris, Kristen Brissett, a couple pals of mine. Patrice Sanders, longtime friend of mine as well. I've worked with her on muscular dystrophy, amongst other things as well. So we hope to see everybody out. I tell you what, Lisa Weiderlight, tell everybody how to find you, or if anybody hears my voice and they want to be involved, maybe want to volunteer, something, maybe they have a child with autism, need some outreach. How do they find you?
Yeah, the best way is to go to our email at info@safeminds.org, or you can give us a call at 202-780-9821, 202-780-9821. We're headquartered in Lutherville, Timonium, but we have that 202 number just because we do so much work educating people on Capitol Hill.
Lisa, always a pleasure to check in with you. Good luck to
you.
Fashion Rocks Autism and all the great work you're doing. It is November the 8th, 7 to 11. You can learn more at safeminds.org. You can find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. We're doing Ravens. Luke's on the backfields out in Owings Mills getting ready for the game this week. And every week we get live shows coming up and, of course, a huge menu of Baltimore positive awesomeness coming up here into the fall as we get ready for an election season, get ready for the holidays, and get ready for Fashion Rocks Autism on November the 8th. I am Nestor. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me 24 hours a day. I'm out on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram, and maybe even putting up a picture of my jacket that night. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports and community and charity, brought to you by Cole Roofing.